Welcome to Harmony Baptist Children's Corner. My name is Dave. This is COVID Home Edition 64. 64 for July the 4th. Alright, what I wanted to talk... Oh, okay, I know what I'm actually... Have you ever heard of the term MIA? Means missing in action. It's a military term, but we use it today, you know, if somebody's supposed to be there. Why did he show? I don't know, he's MIA. But it actually is, it's a military term, it's missing in action. And it refers to someone who's gone over and they've lost him. They have no idea where he was. I'm going to tell you a story about that today. During the Second World War, and this happened, it actually happened on April 2nd, 1945. So this is near the end of the Second World War. The Americans were flying a convoy of bomber planes over Japan. And this Japanese farmer and his son were out in their field, and they heard the air raid siren, so they ran to their bomb shelter. And while they were in the bomb shelter, the anti-aircraft guns were going off, trying to hit the planes, and they hit one of the American planes. The American plane came and crashed just like meters from where their bomb shelter was. And there was 11 Americans on board the plane, and they all died. Like, it was shot down, and they died. They crashed right there, and they all died. But this Japanese farmer... who's a Buddhist, and these are Christians, they're Americans, so they're probably Christians, he just felt that it wasn't right for them. So he and his son, and his son's name was Mitsuaki, this guy's name was Ganjiri, and he and Mitsuaki Amada, I'm sorry if I butchered the names, they went and they got the remains, basically, of these 11 Americans, and they buried them in their own family cemetery. And like that's just and the father said to the son, it's every human deserves dignity and respect, and that's like Christians believe, like love everybody. We all deserve dignity and respect, you know. So that's what he said to him. And then when the war ended, the Americans came and they wanted to collect their war dead. And they reburied from his family cemetery. They moved them to the military cemetery in Yokohama, I think it is, and reburied them there. But that wasn't enough even for this guy and his family, for Ganjiri and Mitsuaki. On his deathbed, Ganjiri made Mitsuaki promise that he would find the families of those 11 guys and let them know what happened to their father, their sons, their brothers, that they weren't MIA, they weren't missing in action. Like, this is actually what happened. And think how important that would be to you if you didn't know where somebody was. You know, where are they? I don't know. I know they went there and they were doing something, but then the last we heard, we don't know. And you know what a horrible thing it would be to not have knowledge of what happened to that person. So this is what the Mitsuaki Amada did. He went to America back and forth. It was between language barriers and money barriers in two countries. He found the families of all 11 of those Americans who died. And the last one was just a few years ago. It was 70 years after he began his thing. He was 85 years old. And he found the Pitt family. And they actually came with him to visit the monument that his father had built in Japan. It was 70 years later. But he finished out that promise he made to his dad. And why? They were like, the Americans are the enemy. We're Buddhists, they're Christians. Okay, the war's over, they won, but I don't, you know, like, why would you, what sense of duty, why would he do that? Because it was the right thing for him. He had a sense of duty, of honor, that's what he had to do. And I don't know if you've ever felt that way. It's just, this is the right thing, I have to do this is right. I have a duty, I have a sense of honor to do this. I want to tell you a story from the Bible about that. Remember a few weeks ago I was talking about Jonathan and David? Jonathan was King Saul's son. And King Saul knew that God wanted David to be king, so he was actually trying to kill David, and David didn't want to fight him back, so he kind of ran away, but David and Jonathan were best friends, and as they split up, you know, like, King Saul almost killed Jonathan for being friends with David, but as they split up, as Jonathan said, goodbye, you got to go, David said, I'll never forget you, I will always take care of you and your family, I'll always remember. Well, later on, actually, King Saul and Jonathan, and all Jonathan's brothers and family, basically, are killed by the Philistines in a battle. And then David is able to come out of hiding and be king. And years later, after this, David remembers a promise he made, and he says, has Saul got any like servants left? And they brought one servant name in, and I forget, I think it was Zillah, something like that. And he said, is there any of Saul's family left? And Jonathan's family left. And the servant, the guy said, well, actually, there's one of Jonathan's son, Mephibosheth. He's a cripple, but he is actually still alive. He can't move around that well, but And David said, well, whatever land that Saul had and that Jonathan had and all his family had, whatever land they had in those days, give it all to Mephibosheth, and tell Mephibosheth that he can come and sit at my table, my supper table, anytime he wants to. He is always welcome at my table. Now, why would David do that? I mean, it's years later, and it dawns on him. Oh yeah, I made this promise that, I told Jonathan I'd take. They're long dead. I'm the king now. And whatever, why would he think, okay, yes, he made a promise. And you're absolutely right, and that is why he made a promise. But he could have said, it was, a promise was, but he didn't, because he knew it was the right thing for him to do. He had honor. He had a sense of duty. He had pride in himself. He knew what was the right thing to do. Now, I'm going to put that to you guys. I asked you guys a few times, I've challenged you, you do this, and be like this, and like that. But what about you? Do you have that sense of honor, that sense of self-pride, that sense of duty, that when you make a promise, when you keep it, says in the Bible, God says, don't make promises unless you're going to keep them. Don't do it. Don't make a promise unless you're going to keep it. Do you keep your promises? Is your word worth anything? Do you have integrity? Are you a man or a woman of your word? It's a very serious question, and you will get that reputation. People will know that about you. They will take you very seriously. Oh yeah, you can trust Dave all the time. You can trust him, not a problem. Or it's like, whatever he says, whatever. He says he's going to show up, maybe. So you get reputations. What about you? All right, that's all I got. Take care. I'll see you next week. Ciao.